Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going through my final injury updates going into week 10 of the NFL season. So, talking about which players are good to go, questionable, doubtful, and then which players have already been ruled out this week. While you guys are watching, you know the drill. If you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And then you can ask me any fantasy questions down below in the comment section, and I'll respond to every single person. But let's just get into the players who are good to go. They will be playing on Sunday or Monday. First guy, Dawson Knox. He's been dealing with a hand injury the last few weeks. He is going to be back. We'll see if he can continue kind of his hot start to the season. He was someone who was producing as like a mid-tier tight end one. He was very touchdown dependent, but the points were coming from Dawson Knox. So we'll see if he can get back into that role in that offense as a top red zone threat. Then Russell Wilson back from that finger injury. This is really great news for everyone, just your overall NFL fans. The Seahawks should be pretty competitive again. You've got Russell Wilson as a nice fantasy asset, and then that's only going to raise, the ceiling and the floors of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Antonio Gibson, who's been dealing with a hip and shin injury, he's going to be good to go this week. He did not have an injury designation on the final injury report, so we'll see if he's fully healthy. Hopefully that bye week really got him back to 100%. This is a tough matchup this week against the Buccaneers, especially considering he doesn't get a lot of receiving work. But all I'm hoping for is that he can get his role back and he's just going to be healthy. I don't want to see him splitting carries with Jarrett Patterson. So I'm just hoping he is good to go back to his regular role. And then the last guy is going to be T.Y. Hilton, who has cleared concussion protocol. Honestly, I'm not a huge T.Y. Hilton fan for fantasy football. I don't think he's startable. I feel like the only wide receiver you want in this offense is Michael Pittman. He's the clear number one. Everyone else I just do not think is fantasy relevant. Now let's shift over to some players who are questionable going into week 10. First off, it is Zach Moss. He has not yet cleared concussion protocol, so if for some reason he is unable to clear, that makes Devin Singletary a really nice start this week. Because this is a backfield that's normally a committee, if now Devin Singletary steps in and can command the majority of the touches, then he will be a nice start. Corey Davis, questionable with a hip. This has held him out the last few weeks. Honestly, I feel like if he returns, it kind of just muddies this wide receiver room even more. You've got Jamison Crowder, Elijah Moore. He's probably the number one if he steps in, but definitely not someone I feel great starting. Chris Godwin is going to be a game time decision dealing with a foot injury. Apparently, he suffered this making a tackle in the Saints game. He seemed to play fairly well, but then I guess, after the fact, he's had the bye week, but he still missed some practices this week. I really wouldn't be surprised if they just held him out. I feel like the Bucs think they have enough firepower to beat this Washington football team, even though they already have some players out, which I'll go over later, but he's going to be a game time decision. James Robinson, questionable with a heel. If he is unable to go, Carlos Hyde should be a solid start. Then on the Patriots, both Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are dealing with concussions. If Damian Harris clears, he should regain his role as the RB1. If Harris fails to clear and Ramondre Stevenson clears, then Stevenson is an interesting play. He'll likely take over that Damian Harris role. If both of these guys can't go, then you honestly could probably feel okay starting both Brandon Bolden and J.J. Taylor, because Brandon Bolden's going to be getting the receiving work. J.J. Taylor is probably going to be getting a fair amount of carries, so we'll just see how that plays out. Julio Jones, still dealing with that hamstring injury. This is just one of those things where I feel like I'd rather them just rest him a few weeks, get him fully healthy, then let him play. But right now he's playing injured and the production is just not there. Keenan Allen is dealing with a knee injury, but I do think he should be good to go come Sunday. We know about Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler with that ankle, Hopkins with that hamstring. Both of them are going to be game time decisions. They both did not play in week 9. I wouldn't be surprised if they're both held out. We saw how well they played last week, even with those guys out of the lineup, so they may just want to be super safe. They are still the number one seed in their conference. Tim Patrick dealing with a knee injury. If he can't go, this basically just elevates Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy a little bit more. For the 49ers, two key pieces are dealing with injuries. George Kittle still dealing with that calf. Remember, that's what he went on the IR for. I would expect him to play this week just because we saw him go in week 9 and played very well. Elijah Mitchell dealing with a rib injury. And then you also have JaMychal Hasty, who is banged up. So this backfield could get very kind of muddied if those guys can't go. We may actually see Trey Sermon play, but really under no circumstances would I feel comfortable starting Sermon. And then the last guy who's questionable is OBJ. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. That's not why he's questionable. We just don't know if the Rams are going to have him suit up. Is he going to know enough of the playbook? I'm guessing they'll have him suit up, even if he's playing like 25% of the snaps. I feel like you can still get him a few routes in that matchup, but I wouldn't really trust him for fantasy purposes at all. Two players who are doubtful this week, Zach Wilson with that knee. It looks like Mike White is going to be the starter, and Zach Wilson may be active, but he's probably going to be more of like a backup option for Mike White. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still dealing with that knee injury. It seems like he's close to being activated. They have not activated him yet for Sunday, so I don't think he's going to play this week, but he should be good to go in week 11. And then let's move over to the players who are out. We have two Buccaneers stud players here. Antonio Brown still dealing with that ankle. It sounds like he could be out 1, maybe even 2 more weeks. It kind of looked like he was going to be a clear return this week. That has not happened. He just got out of the boot. Rob Gronkowski still dealing with that rib issue. He played a few snaps in that Saints game, then left with injury. So it looks like they kind of rushed him back. And I feel like I mentioned this earlier, but the Bucs, I feel like they're just going to try to get these guys healthy. They feel like they can win these next stretch of games, not at 100%. Just have all these guys ready for the playoffs. Jamal Williams on the Lions is going to be out again with a thigh injury. This should just lead to more touches for DeAndre Swift. Chase Claypool is out with turf toe. This is tough because that's definitely something that could nag on for weeks. Hopefully he's back sooner rather than later, but he is going to be out this week. We've got Nick Chubb out with COVID, also Demetric Felton. So this means that Dearness Johnson is a smash start in your lineup. We saw what he did when both Chubb and Kareem Hunt were out, and that was with Demetric Felton also getting touches. Dearness Johnson is going to be the workhorse here, and he should be a very, very safe start in your lineups. Another stud is out, Alvin Kamara with a knee issue. Hopefully you have Mark Ingram as a handcuff that you can plug in. I think he'll be a really nice start this week. And then Chase Edmonds, everyone kind of knew about this ankle injury. James Conner is going to be the workhorse there. And then the final player is going to be Chris Carson. He is still dealing with that neck injury. There was some, skepticism that he may get activated. He will not be activated off the IR. He will miss at least 1 more week here in week 10. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed the content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ask me any questions down below. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.